What is going on, guys? This is All Gaming with my review of Tokyo Ghoul Episode 4. And in this episode, the story is definitely moving along nicely, and we actually get this introduction of a brand new character. And so the episode itself, it picks off from last week where we have this man. He now walks to the cafe, and this guy name is Shu. And so this guy right here, right off the bat, we learned that Toka, she does not like this guy at all, but this guy right here, he is a real piece of work. Now, we see him at one point move the Kaneki, and he actually smells him. And obviously, that right there does keep out Kaneki some. But this guy, right away, he picks up that, Kaneki, he has a very unique scent. And obviously, this guy want to get close so he can eat him. And so we see now that when he does leave, when he does leave the cafe, because Toka does seem to somewhat, force him out. And we see now that when we go to his home, once again, it is sensitive what he's eating, but you can kind of tell what it is. But this guy, even though he was eating, like some part of the human body, he was still thinking about Kaneki. And so right now, he obviously, want to make a move and get close to him, so that way, he could eventually eat him. But then we go to Toka, who's at school, and we see now that she's with one of her friends, and they were eating lunch together. And we see, or we learn that Toka pretty much eat these jam buns every single day, and her friend now was tired of that. And we see that her friend here, she was going through her bento box, and eventually, she had picked this piece of chicken and she made Toka eat it. And so obviously we all know that little trick that ghouls can do to fit in. But we see now that when Toka goes to the bathroom, and I believe that she was trying to not puke it up. We saw her now hitting her stomach as if that right there was going to allow her to eat it, and it does seem to work. But I do wonder now that Toka has had eaten regular food, I do wonder how would that affect her, because I do believe that the old man that runs the cafe, I do believe that he said that if a ghoul eats regular food, then that right there will really deteriorate their health. So now I am wondering, will Toka become very sick, or possibly close to death because she ate something that was not human. So I do hope that we get a follow up with that, and they won't just skip over it, because even though that right there happened so early on in the episode, I am definitely very interested in that. But then we go to the Kaneki, who I believe was at school or something, but we saw him now reading a book, and he's drinking some coffee, and we see now that he put one of those brown cubes that the old man gave to him. But now we see Shu once again, he's there, and they were talking a bit, and this guy here, he kind of using this situation to his advantage, because he saw the book was reading, and maybe Shu was really a fan, or it's possible that that he knows somewhat of the author, but pretty much Shu was using this, and this little, and using this information that he had about Rize as well, to pretty much convince Kaneki to come with him to this cafe where the authors sometimes go. Because we saw at first that Kaneki first turned her down, but then we saw Shu kind of acting depressed, and that right there made Kaneki give in. Because right now Kaneki believed that Shu and Rize, they were close, but that right there was definitely not the case. But it is working though, and so now that they plan to meet up and all, we see now that Kaneki had returned to work in the cafe. But when it was over, we see now that he had to meet up with Yoma, who we saw last week. So at first I was wondering, what they were gonna do, because I thought maybe they're gonna pick up, more food supplies, because now that Kaneki, knows what's going on, I'm pretty sure he feels more comfortable with that now. But we see the thing was that Yomo here had actually wanted to train Kaneki, and we see that right off the bat when they're fighting, Yomo here, he has some skills, and of course because Kaneki is not used to fighting, and because he has not gone through what a lot of them have, because with those men around, in the 20th wars, 20th ward, then they obviously, have to worry about that. And they also forgot to mention that, like, Shu here, he is like one of those parasites in the ward. So obviously, right away, we like definitely learned that like this guy is not a good ghoul. But after Yomo was done pretty much wiping the floor with Kaneki, even though like most of the training they did skip over, we do learn that like Kaneki, he does have some pretty good reflexes because he can dodge, but he really can't fight that well. So Yomo will like definitely have to train him. But apparently, somebody actually wants to meet him. And we see now that when they go to that place, it's like this other bar. Well, it is a bar, and it's definitely more adult themed than the Everybody Welcome Cafe that like Kaneki works on. But we meet the beautiful woman named Itori, and of course Yuta was there. And we learned that like Itori here, she like pretty much runs this bar. And we also learned that like Yomo, back when everybody first met him, he was pretty much worse than like Toka when she gets upset, and that right there is freaking crazy. But we do learn though that apparently when a ghoul and another person fall in love, it is possible that like something really rare can be born, and that right there is a one-eyed ghoul. And obviously, like the thing is, Kaneki, he was like made that way while and one-eyed ghoul will like be something really rare, but obviously that right there has a very low chance of happening, but it is possible. And apparently there's like a rumor that there might be one, another one besides Kaneki, but that right there is just really urban legend at this point, so nobody really knows if that's really true or not. But if there is, another one-eyed ghoul, I do hope that we meet the person very soon, because it would be nice for like Kaneki to meet somebody that could be very similar to him. I think that right there would be nice, and obviously we could see those two bonding because they are very similar. But now we go to where Kaneki was like supposed to meet Shu, and we see now that like while they're at this cafe, Kaneki actually wants to know more about Rize, and so we go to this flashback where we have Shu and Rize, and we have Shu here inviting her to like his gourmet club, but Rize had like turned them down, and we see that because of that, and because of the way that she pretty much insulted him, it seems like Shu definitely has some like hatred towards Rize, especially with the way he was looking. But we see now that he like crushed his cup in his hand, and when Kaneki like tried to help him out, one of those fragments actually cut his finger. And so right away we see like Shu, he's acting very strange because he almost loses it, and we see that he had this like handkerchief, and he puts it over Kaneki's hand to get some of the blood on it. And so when Kaneki was actually, like feeling much better and was going to like throw it away, we see now that like Shu, he took it rather quickly from him, and he ran into the bathroom. And so we saw this guy being on full creep mode as he had the handkerchief, like to his face. He was just like smelling the blood, and you could just see that like his ghoul side, it definitely almost came out, and that right there would have been hilarious. But we see now that when he does join Kaneki, he had asked him if he wanted to go a place that like Rize had been to a few times. And so when he first goes there, I do believe that this right here was his home, because it does look very familiar to what we saw at the beginning of the episode, with like Shu eating. But we see now that like Kaneki, he was like taking a shower, and we have one of Shu's butlers like telling him that he left him some clothes to wear. And so when he does get dressed, we see now that like this maid, she's wearing a mask, and I do wonder why was she doing that. It was like something was like wrong with her face, and I do wish that they would have showed that. But we see now that like when he does drink the coffee, it's like this platform activates, and we now see him being lifted up into the air on the platform. And so when he goes there, we see now that like he's like in this arena, and obviously he has no idea what's going on. But then we have all of these people, they're like wearing masks, and then you see Shu coming out, and like half of his face is like covered, and you could just tell that like he pretty much double crossed. He had double crossed Kaneki, because now he like told these people that he was a ghoul, but he had like this human scent, and he still had the handkerchief with the blood on it. And so then we have Shu like tossing it into the ground, and you just see people like gathering all around it, and they were like smelling it as well. So obviously that right there, it really had piqued their interest, and they really wanted to eat him now, because at first they weren't that into it, but now they like definitely were. And so then we have like this like very big dude coming out, and he pretty much was like planning on like killing Kaneki and like cutting him into pieces. And so Kaneki, because he has some pretty good reflexes, he was doing a pretty good job, dodging him for a while. And we even see that at some point he did try to attack him, but of course like those little kicks of his, they didn't really do anything at all. And so eventually like Kaneki, we see him now collapsing, and his leg was like acting pretty weird, and that's because they had drugged his coffee, and that right there was now taking effect. And so the big guy, I believe his name was like Tora, we see him out of nowhere, kicking Kaneki, and he went flying as he hit this wall, and you just see like just like medium sized hole in it. And so eventually, when like Tora here was like choking him out, we see now that like Kaneki's ghoul side, it came out, and just out of nowhere he like uppercut this guy and it sent him flying. And that right there was like pretty dang awesome. I would not deny that what like Kaneki did, it was pretty freaking amazing. And so now the people are saying like what he is, a one-eyed ghoul. We have Shu here like kind of like losing it, because he had no idea about this. And so now we see that when like Tora had got back up, because he like once again going to try to fight Kaneki, we see now that like Shu had came down himself, and he had impaled Tora from behind in the back. And we see now that like in an instant he had like like cut right through him, and we just see all the blood now coming from Tora raining down on Shu. And that right there it not only like dyed his suit, which I will say was like pretty epic. Now even though like this scene right here was censored, I don't know why, but to me I actually like it, and that right there is a very rare thing for me to say. But now we have Tora's master here. Like at first I thought that like she might be concerned for him, but she was actually furious, and that right there goes to show you how sick some people can be. But now we have Shu going to Kaneki, and he was like trying to save face, saying that this right here was a joke and he went too far. But in reality, he just won't allow anybody else to eat off him, especially now knowing that like he's a one-eyed ghoul. So this episode, like I said, it was definitely good. I did enjoy it. So personally, I'm probably going to give it an 8 out of 10. But of course, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. But as always, please do not forget to like the video and subscribe, because that really helps me out. And you guys take it easy, and I will see you all next time.